Welcome, everybody. I wanted to do an overview, as usual, of week 11, but before that, I wanted to revisit some things from week 10 that I think are important to discuss. One is part two of the final project. About 10 of you have turned that in for feedback. That wasn't a requirement, but I think it is a good idea to turn that in so that you can kind of get some feedback from me so that you know if like there's any corrections you need to make or maybe other things you might want to think about in terms of this particular part of the project. The biggest thing I wanted to let you know is that when you're including the data summary statistics, the ones that I have listed, these are just suggestions. And most of these that I have listed work for quantitative data, data that's numerical, but some of you guys are really focusing in on data that is qualitative. So in that case, you want to focus on making sample proportions, relative frequencies. You can make a relative frequency table to help display the data and kind of summarize it. So you can't necessarily do these things with qualitative data. All of those things mean median, five number summary, outlier boundaries. All of that does definitely work with quantitative data, however. So just wanted to let you guys know that I will be giving feedback to the 10 people who did turn this section in. And I'll let you know any feedback, any changes that I think you might need to make, that kind of thing. And I just would like to keep this dialogue going, so keep the communication open. So please, definitely, if you have questions, email me. I'm happy to help you. If you want to stop by for office hours, remember I have office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 3:30 in my office, B206. That's in Braddock Hall. You can also make an appointment via Zoom. And if any of the times that I have don't work, just email me and we'll work something out. But I would love to lend my support to you as you're doing this project. I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed. I want us to learn from the project, and I want it to be something that you guys get some value out of, because hopefully you chose a topic that you were interested in. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about from week 2 was our data talk on the dogs. I loved this graph. It was my favorite. I pulled it out again last night because I was hanging out with my sister, and I was telling her how a couple of you guys had found a cat that we didn't notice earlier. So yes, there is a cat, if you have not noticed, that is on this graph. So we were talking about it some more, and she was talking to me about how, we've pulled this particular graph out at least 6 times, she and I, hanging out and looking at it, just because we thought it was such an interesting discussion piece. And again, she is not a math person. She's just my sister, but we both like dogs. And so we like to spend our time finding where our dogs that we've had over the years fall on this particular graph. Now, some of you guys expressed concern about their score and how they ranked the dogs. I did post this in the discussion board, but in case you didn't see it, I posted a link to the data. It's in a spreadsheet, but you can definitely see that they have all of the breeds that are on that sheet. It's on the tab called Best in Show, and you can see how they've ranked everything from popularity to intelligence, and how they kind of came up with that. Like for the intelligence category, and trainability, repetitions to understand a new command, like how many it takes. So like a border collie was in the brightest level because it takes less than 5 commands. Less than 5 repetitions to understand a new command. They also talk about longevity, genetic diseases, cuteness, which they do say is subjective, so they do put that out front, and that was some of the things that we had talked about. But they also mention lifetime cost, purchase price, food cost, other costs, grooming, how they are with children, etc. So if you're interested in exploring this further, you can see this information pretty much on every dog that is on this particular sheet. that we looked at. Okay, so I just want to let you know that that was there, and so that is a link that I posted in every group. And if you have the opportunity, go to group 3 for the week 10 discussion and check out the cute pic of Rory's dog. Um, Dog is definitely adorable. All right, so that is week 10. So let's go ahead and move to week 11, and let's talk about what's going on this week. So this week we are still in chapter 9, and we are actually going to start performing hypothesis tests. Last week we just focused on all the basics. We focused on how to write the null and the alternate statement, how to identify type 1 and type 2 errors. We talked about decisions, conclusions. We talked about what kind of what was involved, but we've not really put it all together, so that's what we're going to do this week. So this week you are going to focus on just full examples. So if you'll open the PowerPoint or the slideshow from this week, you'll see there's 18 examples. I worked 9 of them on the video, and so you'll see here under lecture notes and note taking, you're going to view the hypothesis testing full examples video and take notes. That's examples 1 through 9, and then you're going to work through examples 10 through 18 on your own, and you can check your answers by clicking on the filled in notes that I have posted for you to see if you got those right. And then you can send me any questions. And then, of course, as always, I add in an R Guru video that kind of shows you how to do the same thing that we're doing with the TI calculator, but with R Guru instead. We have another data talk discussion. I do need to show you something that is different this week about that. So let me just go ahead and show you. So when you open up the graph, it is a topic called shifting incomes, and you cannot look at the graph the way it is here. You have to go to this link right here because this is an animated graph. I mean, I guess technically you could, but it does work better if you go to where the graph is located online so you can see it animated. So basically we have shifting incomes, and it says select year. So we have 1966, and you have different levels of degrees and ages, and then you have versus 2016. So if you'll check it out, when you click on each tab, 1966 through 2016, you can see how the data has changed. Okay, so it's best if you view this version of the graph rather than sticking with just the normal PDF. Okay, so just want to let you know that that was there, and the link is below the 2 graphs right here. Okay, so I wanted to let you know that, and let's go back to week 11. We've got 3 homework assignments. It's all, hypothesis testing. Going back to assignments, this week we're working on section 3 of the final project, so let's go to that real quick. So part 3, you guys, is where we're actually going to do a hypothesis test. So you probably want to wait on this until after you've viewed the videos, maybe practice with some of the homework to really start on this. You are going to use our Guru for it. Okay, so you definitely want to watch that R Guru video before you try this. But this is what I want to say about this. Some of us, when we picked our data, the research we were looking at, the variables we were looking at, it was very broad. But I wanted you guys to do that analysis section so you could kind of decide kind of what you wanted to focus on. So for this particular section, you need to really focus on one variable. And if you want to do one of the tests that you're learning how to do this week, that involves one population, one variable. And you'll check out some of the claims that there's going to be 18 examples this week. So you're going to check out kind of how those are worded and maybe narrow down what you've been looking at to just this one thing about a variable, such as, I keep using the cereal example, but let's say you had the data for the cereal, and you were trying to see if the machine was overfilling, if you'll recall that example. And so we would see whether or not the mean is really larger than 20, meaning that it's overfilling, the machine is overfilling, but you're just going to be focusing on one parameter, one statistic, if you're doing one of the tests this week. Now, if you want to do a comparison, we're going to definitely learn about those things next week, so you might want to wait until we get to that section. But I just want to let you know that you may be kind of tweaking things right now and narrowing it down to just really one thing and simplifying it somewhat, because some of you guys have some really awesome data sets that involve multiple variables, and we want to just narrow things down. And if you need help with that, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm not going to go through everything here right now, because some of it, since this is the overview, is not necessarily going to make much sense until you get through the videos this week. So anyway, the other thing that we have to do this week, and this is so important, is an honor log practice assessment. So in case you weren't aware, one of the FCC policies for online classes is that at least one test needs to be proctored, and usually this is done in person at the testing center. Right now, our testing center is limited because it is in a temporary location due to the renovation of its regular space. So they cannot accommodate a whole lot of students at one time. So because of that, and we have a lot of online classes, we have to find alternate routes for doing this proctoring. So one of the things that they have for us to proctor at least one exam is called honor lock. And this is where an exam can be proctored with you taking it right at home. So you don't have to go anywhere special. Okay, so let's kind of look at what this is. So you're going to do, this week, you're going to do a practice assessment. And the reason we're doing this is just so that we can troubleshoot and make sure all of this is going to work when you take your final test, which is the one I want to be proctored. So let's click on this. So this is just a completion grade, so don't look at it and freak out or anything. It's really just for you to kind of get acclimated with HonorLock. So I've posted some information about HonorLock here. Basically, it's a proctoring service. You don't have to create an account, but it is going to use your webcam and your microphone. You do need to, it will take a picture of you so that we know that you were the person taking the test. It gives you system requirements. Basically, you'll do this through Google Chrome, and you will need to install an HonorLock Chrome browser extension, which it takes just a couple seconds. And actually, you can do that here on this page, or whenever you're taking the practice assessment, it will actually prompt you to do that. Anyway, it's just a way to proctor an exam again, but virtually, so that you do not have to come in to take an exam. And I wanted to do this one time just to make sure that we troubleshoot any issues that might pop up, because this will be the first time we're using it for our class. So this is an assignment, so you have to do it. But again, nobody freak out over it, because it's not a real test. Okay, it's just a practice test so that you can get an idea of how this works. So if you have questions on it, definitely let me know. So going back to the weekly folders, I think for week 11, that is it. Just, the hypothesis test, full examples, working on part 3 of your project. If you want to turn in part 3, I did have a folder for that, and I can give you any feedback on that and get it back to you so you can make any corrections or updates or changes as needed. And then there's the HonorLock practice assignment, and then 3 homework assignments. For the homework assignments, you can use the TI calculator, but if you prefer, you can also use your our Guru, because that will work for this as well. Okay, so that is all I have for week 11, but if you have questions, please don't hesitate to email me, pop in during my office hours. Yeah, okay, have a great week.